If you've ever felt stuck in life, knowing what you should do, knowing what would help, but still not moving, this explanation is for you. Many people believe they're lazy, undisciplined, or broken. They blame their personality, their motivation, or their character. But in most cases, that's not true. What's actually happening is much more interesting and much more human. Your brain may be doing exactly what it was designed to do. Most advice about motivation starts with one assumption. If you really wanted it, you would do it. But neuroscience doesn't support this idea. Your brain is not designed to make you successful. It's designed to keep you alive. From the brain's perspective, survival means avoiding uncertainty, avoiding discomfort, and conserving energy. This is important to understand because when we talk about change, we usually think in terms of goals and progress, while the brain thinks in terms of safety and efficiency. And very often, those two things are not aligned. Deep inside your brain is a system responsible for detecting threats, not just physical danger, but emotional and psychological risk, things like failure, rejection, embarrassment, or loss of identity. When you consider changing your life, starting something new, leaving something familiar, or stepping into uncertainty, your brain often interprets that as danger. And when the brain detects danger, its first response is not action. Its response is inhibition. It slows you down. It creates hesitation. It generates resistance. Not because it wants to sabotage you, but because it wants to protect you. Your brain is extremely efficient. It prefers routines, habits, and predictable patterns because they require less energy, reduce uncertainty, and feel safe. This is why people often stay in situations they no longer serve them, jobs they dislike, habits they know are harmful, environments that limit them. Even when these situations cause discomfort, they are familiar, and the brain almost always prefers known discomfort over unknown possibility. This doesn't mean people enjoy being stuck. It means the brain prioritizes certainty over improvement. Change is expensive for the brain. Learning something new, making decisions, and breaking habits all require mental energy. When the brain feels overwhelmed, stressed, or fatigued, it naturally looks for ways to reduce effort. This is when procrastination appears, not as a flaw in character, but as an energy-saving response. The brain is essentially saying, now is not a good time to spend resources. This reframes procrastination completely. Feeling stuck doesn't usually show up as a dramatic crisis. Most of the time, it appears in very ordinary situations. You delay an important email. You keep postponing a simple decision. You think about changing a habit, but never start. You know what would help, but something inside resists moving forward. This resistance often feels irrational. There's no real danger, no immediate consequence, no logical reason to stop. But your brain doesn't evaluate situations based only on logic. It evaluates them based on perceived cost. Change means effort. Effort means energy, and energy is something the brain is always trying to conserve. So instead of pushing forward, the brain creates friction, not to stop you forever, but to slow things down until it feels safer. This is important to understand. Feeling stuck is not an abnormal condition. It's a common state the brain enters when demands exceed perceived resources. When life feels overwhelming, when there's too much information, too many choices, or too much pressure, the brain shifts into a protective mode. It narrows focus, it reduces action, it prioritizes stability over growth. This doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means your system is trying to prevent overload. Many people misinterpret this state as laziness or lack of discipline, but in reality, it's closer to a pause, a signal that the brain needs clarity, not force. Understanding this removes unnecessary self-blame and makes real progress possible. Willpower is often treated like a personal strength, but research shows it's a limited resource. When change depends only on willpower, progress feels exhausting, consistency collapses, and failure feels personal. This creates a cycle of motivation and guilt. Motivation spikes, then energy drops, and self-blame follows. Not because you lack discipline, but because your system isn't designed for constant resistance. If the brain is designed to protect you, then change becomes easier when it feels safe. This usually means smaller steps instead of big leaps, clarity instead of pressure, and reducing uncertainty instead of forcing action. Progress happens when the brain believes this is manageable, this won't overwhelm us, and this doesn't threaten our identity. The goal is not to fight your brain, but to work with it. So if you've been feeling stuck, unmotivated, or unable to move forward, it doesn't mean you're lazy. It means your brain is doing its job. And once you understand how that job works, you can stop fighting yourself and start making change feel safer. Understanding yourself isn't about pressure, it's about clarity. And clarity is often the first real step toward change.